I'm Jasmine Moradi, and you're listening to the Queens of Tech podcast, a podcast series about raising the voice of workplace champions. 60 plus questions in around 30 to 40 minutes with women, women of color, non-binary, and transgender influencers about their journey into STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I started the Queens of Tech podcast initiative in May 2022 because I would like to retain more women, women of color, non-binary, and transgenders in the tech industry. Talent is out there, but our work environment needs to improve for all to feel safer, stay authentic, and to be valued for our contributions. My vision is to raise the workplace ecosystem for all in tech by killing the imposter syndrome, stopping bad behavior, and increasing equity opportunities. Each podcast talk is built around 60 plus questions regarding upbringing, education, career path, DIB, and future advice. My mission is to bridge the gap between schools and workplaces by getting into the heart of my guest's personal life and career journey to inspire other girls, women of color, non-binary, and transgenders to unleash their full potential to reach top leadership roles in the tech industry. My goal is to raise the voices of tech champions around the world and together with companies, investors, and politicians, raise the challenges and opportunities around equity, inclusive, diversity, and belonging in our workplaces. Enough is enough. I would like to enforce companies to build a sustainable, inclusive culture to retain diverse talent so we keep the workforce power equity to continue building future diverse and inclusive products. Representation matters. Your voice matters. In this episode, I'm very excited to welcome my guest, tech queen Arpita Vats, senior AI engineer at LinkedIn. Hi, Arpita.
Hi,
I'm very happy to have you joining us.
I'm feeling the same. I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited to get to know you. So let us dive into your journey into STEM. Hope you're ready for the Queens of Tech 60 plus questions.
Sure.
Let's warm up with a few fun facts about you. How would you describe your personality in 3 hashtags?
Innovative, resilient, and AI enthusiast.
How would you summarize your life in 3 sentences?
Probably solving complex problems through AI, and my career journey has always been driven by curiosity and cutting edge technologies.
And what kind of music stimulates and motivates you the most?
I think classical lo-fi.
What's your personal motto?
Innovate, iterate, and inspire.
What is your favorite book?
It's a deep learning book by Ian Goodfellow. It shaped me understanding the AI fundamentals and continues to be a best reference book for so far.
And what is your favorite podcast?
It's a Lex Fridman podcast. It provides the deep technical insights and thought-provoking conversation on AI and technologies.
Mac or PC?
Mac.
Say something interesting about you that most people don't know.
I'm very self-motivated, so I don't need a lot of push from other people to do if I want something.
And what is your hidden talent?
I can break down any complex thing into simpler things, either it's technical or non-technical.
And if you were to write a book about your life, Arita, what would the title be?
AI algorithms and the journey of a problem solver.
Great start. Now, let us dig deeper. Our childhood has a profound effect on our adulthood. Our early experiences shape our belief about ourselves, others, and the world. Now, let us discover your childhood. Where did you grow up and how did it shape your early experiences?
I grew up in India, and in early ages, I was always fascinated about the machines and to explore actually how it works.
And during that period of time, what would you say was your dream job as a child?
I think at that point of time, I wanted to become astronaut.
What is your favorite subject in school then during that time?
It was mostly mathematics and computer science.
And what was your least favorite subject?
I don't remember any least favorite subject, but I think probably more literature works.
And then what is your earliest memory of technology and the arrival of the internet?
Yeah, so I think the first time I accessed internet it was during my school days when we had computer labs, and that was like something very defining moment for me.
And which were the three first technology gadgets you own, and how did it influence your interest in tech?
The first device was like I had a desktop PC at my home, and then there was beginning of mobile phones. And then I also had this graphic calculator, which was launched recently for doing all the calculations.
I do remember those. I had one of those too, actually. During that period of time, who was your female role model growing up, and what about her inspired you?
My role model will be Fifi Lee because I think her work in computer vision and AI ethics showed me that AI can be used for betterment of society as well as advancement of technology.
And based on everything you said, how do you think where you grew up and the school you went to and the generation you come from influence your education and career choice?
I think my environment, my friend circle, and my parents, they encouraged me to be more curious and doing a lot of experimentation, which naturally led me to where I am today.
So let us dig into your career. But before that, I'm going to read two quotes. First one, how does the universe expect me to choose a career path at 16? I can't even choose what I want for dinner. Second, Abraham Lincoln said, I quote, the best way to predict your future is to create it. So, Arpita,
I totally agree.
I want to know the choices behind your career. So, where and what did you end up studying at university?
So I studied machine learning and computer vision at Boston University.
Who and what influenced you to get into your chosen field?
I think the rapid advancement that I saw in the machine learning helped me decide like this is what I want to do and also like connecting with the professors who were working on this field.
And what professional roles have you had that led you to your current one?
I was as applied scientist intern at Amazon and then I also worked as a research scientist intern at Meta, which finally led me into be working as senior AI engineer at LinkedIn.
I'm sure a lot of people know it, but it's still interesting to know from your own words, what does linking do?
So LinkedIn basically focuses on connecting professionals globally. And also, like my role specifically is to enhance the feed recommendation using AI to improve the user engagement.
What would you say are your main daily responsibilities?
I think the main like typical workday would be something like researching what is latest in the area and then also implementing the works and then also making sure like how are the metrics looking for the models that we have created so far and also like publishing.
And I'm sure a lot of people are interested to work at LinkedIn. So, how did you end up getting the role?
I think what helps me get this role is basically crunching a lot of lead code and having a background in ML and having some experience through my research works.
I love the quote, choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. So, repeat that. What do you love the most about your role?
The most important thing is like impacting millions of users every day.
And what has been the best experience you've had? Any examples you can share with us?
One of the experiences, like for now at LinkedIn, we are implementing using LLMs for the ranking models. And then the improvement that I'm seeing and the engagement that it's bringing is something that's really interesting.
And what would you say is the biggest challenge you've encountered, and how did you end up tackling that?
It's similar to my previous question. So since we are introducing LLMs on LinkedIn, so it comes with a lot of challenges for the latency issues. So we tackled this by using some other models and some fine-tuning strategies to lower those latency issues.
And what do you wish everybody understood about your role specifically?
One thing is like AI isn't magic. It's carefully engineering models and evaluating the trade-offs and ensuring the ethical AI practices.
What would you say is one common myth about your professional field that you want to disapprove?
That AI can replace human decision making.
What is it that you love about working in the tech industry?
The constant innovation and the ability to work on problems that truly impact people's lives.
Oprah Winfrey said, I quote, think like a queen. A queen is not afraid to fail. Failure is not a stepping stone to greatness. So, Arpita, what has by far been your biggest achievement in your career?
The biggest achievement for me was while I was working at Meta, and it was, I think, 14 weeks of internship, and I was able to finish the project that I was working on and also publish the work at ICAS conference, which is like one of the top conferences. So I think that was like the biggest achievement in my career.
And what would you say is the biggest factors help you become successful? What are your success habits you can share with us?
Some of the habits is like be resilient and always be passionate for solving the problems and discipline.
And how do you measure your performance knowing that you're successful or not?
So I think you can always measure your performance from a previous day if you actually learned something on the other day. Because if you didn't, it's still going to be a lag of a day in your learning process.
And with success comes failures. What would you say is the biggest failure in your career and what did you learn from it?
I think early in my career, I underestimated the importance to understand like what explainability in AI is. Because I always prioritize making models and like using it to solve the problems. But I think understanding it and making it more interpretable is the key.
And with so much happening in AI right now, what would you say inspiring and motivate you the most in your role and career?
Something that motivates me most is that you're always continuous on learning and you're always on your toes to figure out like what's next and how that could be used.
So let us now jump into the influence of mentor, role models, champions, and sponsors. For our listeners, role models can consciously or subconsciously be a powerful force in our lives. In addition, champions can stand up and advocate for us and open up the world of possibilities. Sponsors match emerging talent with leaders and influential employees who can help us move ahead in our career. Arpita, do you have a mentor, champion, or a sponsor today?
Yes, I have like some incredible mentors at my workplace who can sponsor throughout my career and they have inspired me to push the boundaries of AI innovation.
That is great, because history shows that it's been more common for men having mentors, champion, and sponsor in business than women. So, based on your experience, how important do you think is to have a mentor, champion, or sponsor through one's career?
I think it does actually help a lot because sometimes you might oversee the things that you are doing wrong. And it's always helpful if someone can pick that up right away instead of you realizing it at the end of the goal.
Let's now then move on to leadership. Adena Friedman, president and CEO of NASDAQ, said, I quote, empowering those around you to be heard and valued makes a difference between a leader who simply instructs and one who inspires. And Shirley Sandberg, ex-CEO of Facebook, said, I quote, leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that the impact lasts in your absence. So, Arpita, what does leadership mean to you?
For me, leadership is about inspiring, enabling, and empowering others. So a great leader creates a culture of collaboration, innovation, and inclusivity.
And what would you say distinguish a good leader from a bad leader?
I think a good leader is more transparent, empathetic, and more strategic, while the bad may lack the vision and not be emotionally available.
And who is your favorite female non-binary or transgender tech leader and why?
The same Fifi Lee because her contribution to AI is specifically in computer vision and I think paved way for many in this field.
And how would you describe yourself as a leader?
And led with curiosity and inclusivity and adaptability. So ensuring like my team feels supported, they're also challenged at the same time and inspired to innovate.
And as a leader, what values do you prioritize the most?
I think for me, the first one will be integrity, then innovation, and then inclusivity.
And what leadership lessons have you learned that have shaped you into the leader you are today?
Few of them are the importance of active listening and encouraging diverse perspective and making like data driven but people centric decisions.
And what would you say are your three strengths and three weaknesses?
My three strength would be strategic problem solving, self innovation, and then technical expertise of AI. My weakness would be overcommitment to projects and sometimes prioritizing work over the personal well being.
Let us now jump into the hottest topic in business today, workplace culture, unlocking the power of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So, Arpita, what do diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging mean to you personally?
I think it's more about creating an ecosystem where diverse perspectives are valued and opportunities are equitable and everyone feels like empowered to contribute and grow.
And what do you consider being 3 to 5 signs of good company culture if you were to join another company tomorrow?
I think few of them would be psychologically safety, diverse leadership, transparent communication, career growth opportunity, and work-life balance.
And as a brown woman, what has been the most significant political or and cultural barrier in your career, and how have you overcome these challenges?
I think the underrepresentation for the voices not being heard for AI decision making. So I have tackled it by like advocating more about it and being more vocal about it, about the things that I think should be considered in the AI field, at least from my team perspective.
And how do you discuss DIB challenges such as salary gaps, promotion, maternity leave, etc., with your colleagues, peers, and community?
We should prioritize the data-driven discussions, such as highlighting the trends for advocating for pay transparency and supporting equitable hiring and promotion practices.
And there are also many public and internal discussion about the barriers women of color, non-binary, and transgender individuals face from reaching higher position or receiving funding in the tech industry. How have these issues affected you, and what is your advice on overcoming these roadblocks?
My advice would be to build a strong network, advocate for yourself, and also uplift others along the way.
And then also today, tech companies invest heavily in marketing, attracting women of color, non-binary, and transgender individuals, but they struggle to retain them. Articles show that women are leaving the tech industry. What is your best advice or strategies for how companies can work to build a stronger corporate culture that engages DIB?
First would be ensuring inclusive leadership at all levels. It shouldn't be just men or just any one specific gender. And providing mentorship and sponsorship programs, offering equal pay, and being more transparent about the promotion criteria. And then hiring and retaining diverse talent through like equitable policies.
And I would say that is great advice, Arpita. But what would you say are the key challenges of implementing a DIB culture in a workplace and the tech industry today, especially with all the backlashes going on?
The one of is like lack of diverse leadership representation, because for more of the higher position we see like it's only still governed by same genders. And then I think retention challenge also due to the non-inclusive environments.
And why do you think it's important for more women of color, non-binary, and transgenders to join the tech industry today?
Because I think diversity leads to better innovation, more ethical and equitable solution that could serve a broader population. And I think women specifically are tend to be more ethical, I guess.
And how do you think not just having them as middle leaders, which is also very common, but actually higher gender representation at C-suite level and boardrooms with a voice?
I think stronger decision making through diverse perspective, then also being more inclusive product development, and it will also bring higher employee satisfaction and retention.
Again, great advice, but why do you think is the main reason we still see few women of color, non-binary, and transgender leaders in the tech leadership roles as startup founders still today?
I think there are some systematic biases that women are still facing. And then also, I think there's not a lot of mentorship opportunities as available to guide a woman at early stage in their career as well. And then, yeah, I think that does decides their next path to be not being in career, like tech career, or leaving their roles as well.
And that is at working at a company, like a corporate company. But there is also another challenge, and that is that the data reveals a concerned trend of low funding rates for startups led by women, with only 1 to 2% of the funding directed towards women in the tech industry. It said that Black and Latina women in particular receive less than 1%. What factors do you believe contribute to this imbalance, and what strategies can be activated to increase funding for women-led startups? Let's say you want to start something tomorrow, for example.
One of the reason is that we don't have so many women in the higher layer of leadership. And probably that's why what it's causing like reduction in the percentage of startup founders as a woman. So I think one way would be definitely to have more women doing it. And then also like advocating for their voices or the things that they're asking for.
And then how much do you think the tech industry has changed regarding DIB since you joined?
Progress is being made, but the real change that we're going to see is going to be slowly. We obviously need more action, not just awareness.
And looking back on your own career, Arpita, what one thing would you have changed in your working environment to break the bias?
I think one thing I would do is increased representation in decision making roles.
And then looking forward, what actions will you take beyond being part of this podcast as a leader to reduce bias and improve the IB for the next generation in tech?
I would do like mentor and uplift diverse voices in AI research, and also like push for fair hiring and promotion policies and being more transparent about the pay.
Amazing. I look forward to that. So let us move on to another hot topic in business today, which is work-life balance and mental health. I am sure, like everybody else, you have a busy lifestyle. How do you take care of yourself to maintain a good mental health?
Few things that I do is like setting like a clear boundaries between work and life, practicing mindfulness or like some fitness gyms, and also like engaging sometime in some mentorship and community support.
Have you ever experienced burnout?
Yes, I think especially during the high intensity projects, I learned it's very tough to do it.
Then how did you end up tackling that?
What I do is I take break and I set like realistic expectations for myself.
And what is your advice on how companies can create a more mentally healthy workplace in the new now?
Few things we need to normalize mental health days and implementing like no meeting zones for deep work and encouraging like a flexible work arrangements.
And what would you say motivates you every day to get out of bed?
The opportunity to solve challenging problems and making some impact in tech.
Amazing. Now let us wrap up with a few words of wisdom and a piece of advice for our listeners. Arpita, what would you say is the best piece of advice you've been given that has helped you during setbacks in your role and career?
It would be something that I got from one of my mentors. Failures are data points for improvement, not roadblocks.
And then what's the worst advice you ever received and how did you tackle that?
To stick to one specialty. I've thrived by embracing interdisciplinary learning, so I don't think you should stick to just one thing.
And is there something you wish you would have known or a skill you wish you had when starting out in the tech industry?
Networking and mentorship are just as important as technical skills.
And if you had the ability to go back in time to when you were just the beginning of your career, what one thing would you have told your younger self?
I would say embrace failures as a part of learning process and seek out for mentors early on.
And then what advice will you give to young girls, women of color, non-binary, and transgenders who's trying to break into STEM fields today, especially wanting to become next generation leaders and founders?
Believe in your capabilities. Imposter syndrome is something very common but conquerable. Find a mentor who can guide you and support your growth, and then also advocate for yourself. Don't wait for opportunities. Like if it's not there, just create them.
Great advice and coaching. So last but not least then, Arpita, what is next for you in your role and career in tech? What are your career aspirations?
For me, it would be to push the boundaries for AI research and see what more is there and how can I be part of it and contribute to it.
Amazing. I look forward to following your journey in that area. So thank you very much for being guest on the Queens of Tech podcast, sharing your journey will without a doubt inspire and shape company culture for next generation of women of color, non-binary and transgender leaders and founders in tech. Thank you for listening. For more podcast episodes and to learn more about the Queens of Tech initiative and to support us, visit queensof.tech.